Hey, Sean here from SpeedCubeReview.com. I learned CMLL in one day. I'll kind of clarify that. I had a pretty good grasp over CMLL, but I definitely had to have a PDF out for a few more days just to jog my memory, and some of the algorithms were not the most efficient ones, but I was able to solve every single case pretty much within one day. So how did I do that? Well, a lot of algorithms I already know, and I guarantee you already know. What CMLL is solving corners, the orientation and permutation at the same time. That could be called COLL, however, that's a little bit different. So let me give you an example. We'll start with H cases because those are kind of the easiest. There's only 4 of them, and when you see this, where you have this sort of H case and they're matching colors, F, sex and move 3 times, F prime. Now also 2 of the CML algorithms are just Y perm and J perm, so you can just knock those out right away. Now if you had those something like this, where they're opposite colors on the side, if you do F, sex and move 3 times, that's not going to solve it. So we have a different algorithm for that. A lot of these algorithms are just soon canceling into a different soon, or taking a pair out and inserting it in a different place. I did know some COLLs beforehand. So for example, when I have the H case where I have 2 matching colors on the right, I already had that in my fingers. There is an algorithm that's slightly shorter than that. However, if you know some COLLs and CMLL, then you can do one or the other. So here's another example. When you see this. Now, I actually posted a video on Facebook with this, and I completely missed it. The algorithm that most people do for this case, which is called a pi case, and this version where you have matching colors and opposite colors here, is this algorithm. And that's what a lot of people do. However, let's say we had maybe a few flipped edges as well. Something like this. Well, you have that same case, and you could do that same algorithm. It would solve the corners. But another algorithm you could do is F and then sex and move twice, and that also solves it. And that could be a little bit faster to execute. I mean, the other one's only 2gen, but knowing both, you have options. So if you do have the edges solved, you know you can do that other one. Yeah, there are just other algorithms that you already know, and it's just recognizing the cases. So for example, like this one, you have matching colors and then opposite with the headlights. So the number of cases you have 2 that are already oriented, so Y perm and J perm. I would say most people watching this can already check that off their list. You have 4 H cases where you have the 2 headlights, 6 pi cases, 6 T cases, which is the one I just showed here. Oh, nope, sorry, that's a U case. 6 U cases, 6 T cases like this, 6 L cases, and then 6 soon and 6 anti-soon. Okay, so enough rambling. How did I learn it in one day? A lot of them are algorithms that I already knew and just had to learn the inverse or the mirror of it. So for example, this one is that. Now, a lot of people probably already know that because they know this. When you have the headlights, which this is a U case, what I do to recognize it right now is I see whatever top color is matching a side color. So for example here, you do the algorithm that a lot of people do for this case. R2D, R prime U2R, D prime, R prime U2R prime. And so the reason I say I look at that is because if you have it on the left side, just do it with your left hand. Now, some people do it with the right hand, but backwards. So with it on back like that. I prefer to use my left hand. My left hand's already kind of in a good spot for it as well. You know, I don't feel like you have to do many other regrips for it, but we have that. Now, I probably will be learning it from the back as well, so I could do the back or the front depending on how the puzzle's already oriented at that moment. Now, if I do that algorithm, I notice this case. So if you do the algorithm backwards, it solves that. So you end up learning 4 cases with one algorithm. And at first, it's going to be slower when you see this. You're matching up the same color and then an opposite color on the side. But at least you have the algorithms down because you know it's the algorithm just mirrored or opposite. And as you practice, as you solve them, it will become more into your fingers. Now, I'll talk about in a second how I practiced it. But that's one way I practiced it, by just finding the mirrors and inverse, and that solved a lot of them. A lot of them were just taking an edge out and putting it back in a different way. So like if I had, let's say, this, where we have adjacent colors and then the matching color on this corner, well, this one you just take the edge out, do a sledgehammer, and then put it back in. So RU to R prime, sledgehammer, RU to R prime. Now, having them just all memorized is easier said than done. So what I did was I took Kian's PDF, the one that he made with all of his CML algorithms, and I went through, and this is the actual PDF that I have, where I checked off ones that I already knew. I started ones that are really good that I should learn. A lot of those I have learned at this point. And also I then wrote in other algorithms that I do instead, at least at the moment. So some algorithms that I already knew from other times learning COLL or just other OLL algorithms I already knew. And that gave me a roadmap of what I actually need to do. When you look at all the algorithms right up front, it looks like a lot of things. But going through and checking them made me sort of check off my mind and not seem like there's 42 new things I had to learn. The ones that caused me the most trouble were soon cases, and I only worried about soon. I did not worry about anti-soon, because for that, a lot of them I just then did with the other hand. That's not to say everything would be with the left hand, because there is a case where you would have something like this. Let me set this up. So this is just a soon case, but the main algorithm for this case, when you have opposite colors here, and I always then look at that and see nothing matching, starts with LU to L prime, and then sledgehammer. So when you see the anti-soon one, that ends up just being with the right hand, the same exact thing. So that's what I had the most trouble with, but marking them down, and actually, if we look at the bottom of that page, I reorganized them, so I have the two where the colors are matching diagonally, two where the colors are matching up top, and two where they're matching on the side. When I say matching, I more just mean the opposite colors and not adjacent colors, because you don't really have matching colors on soon cases. That helped me the most. I used this timer. I don't know if it's called KO timer or Chow timer. I've heard people say both, and I haven't heard the developer say what it is. However, let me know in the comment section if it's that or that. Just let me know which one it is and how you pronounce it. So for that, they actually have a CMLL scrambler, which worked pretty well. I still had to do the edges to kind of solve it back, so it took a little bit of time. So what helped most was actually doing a 2x2. Because I did CMLL for the last layer. Of course, that's not as efficient as just doing CLL. However, it was much faster for me to build one layer on here than to constantly solve a 3x3. So while practicing, I was able to do this. So I'd solve a layer, and then I would see this, do my algorithm, and then scramble it again. So let's scramble it up. They are a little bit awkward to execute on a 2x2, but it's a way for me to just constantly practice them quite fast and not worry about that part. Okay, bottom layer is done. So this, F second move twice, F prime. And yeah, at the beginning, a couple times I, again, had the PDF out and I had to glance at that, but this allowed me to just do that quickly. So let's do one more. Let's see here. And then, okay, so we have a soon case, or I guess technically anti-soon. And for this one, I believe actually my brain's blanking a little bit on this, but yeah, so it's that one. It's just the Nicholas alg. And that's how I was able to practice it pretty fast. The timer was okay, but I think the big thing to do is go through the PDF and start checking things off. When you have that checked off, your brain is able to focus in on what needs to be learned instead of just seeming like there's a ton of things to go through. And I just started with H and then I did pi. I just kind of went through that way. I did soon towards the end, but soon's not too difficult because a lot of the algorithms aren't too bad. I mean, the ones that are longer are often ones where you're doing sexy move, sledgehammer, and then soon. So in this case, same thing on the left hand. When I see those are opposite, those are matching, I do sexy move, sledgehammer, and then soon. And then we have just the edges left. If you have any questions on that, let me know. Learning it in a day is not going to be really easy if you haven't done any COLL or done really much OLL in general, because a lot of them I learned relating to other algorithms. But I feel like these are steps if you want to learn them. And if you want to do Roux, 100% learn full CMLL. It's not that difficult. A lot of the algorithms are very similar. And once you get them to your fingers, they just start becoming second nature. Think about executing algs as typing on a keyboard or texting on a phone. There's certain words, like maybe your password, that just you start to be able to type really fast because you're not thinking about the letters anymore. Same thing with this. So think of it as if you're just trying to get 42 letters or 42 words into your fingers to type. Okay. So again, thank you very much. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Hit like, subscribe for more content like this in the future. And as always, stop by speedcubeview.com for more news and reviews.